Students, welcome to MOOC on Human Rights in India. In the last module, we saw the Right to Information Act. In this module, we will look at the Central Information Commission and the State Information Commissions. Basically, we will see what are the composition of these commissions like, what is the term of office of the commissioners, terms and conditions, qualifications of these people who get appointed to these commissions. The Central Information Commission is a statutory body established under the Right to Information Act. It's headed by a chief commissioner, and the act provides that there shall be a number of information commissioners who shall not exceed 10 in any case, and the chief commissioner provides the overall leadership, direction, superintendence of the commission as a whole. Mr. Wajahat Habibullah was appointed as the first Chief Information Commissioner at the Central Information Commission, and thereafter there had been several distinguished persons who held the post of the Chief Information Commissioner at the center. If you look at the commission is expected to receive complaints and redress complaints which are received against the orders of the Central Public Information Officers or by way of appeal, and also where there is a finding of a deficiency, the commission could also order some compensation to the victim whose rights have been violated, and the commission also makes recommendations for improvement in the way Right to Information Act is being implemented. The commission also submits annual report to the central government from time to time. How is the commission appointed? If you look at the section 12 of the RTI Act, it provides for the constitution of a Central Information Commission, which consists of one Chief Information Commissioner and a number of information commissioners who may be appointed depending on the necessity, and their number shall not exceed 10 in any case. And who are these persons? What are their qualifications like? The Chief Information Commissioner as well as the information commissioners are expected to be persons of great eminence and hold expertise in the fields of law, social service, mass media and journalism, governance or public administration, and such fields, including science and technology. In a way, there are a number of areas which have been outlined in the section 12 of the RTI Act, and persons who are well versed in these areas are expected to be appointed by a high level committee comprising the Prime Minister of India as the chair, and this committee consists of 3 persons. It includes the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha and a cabinet minister appointed by the Prime Minister of India to this committee, and based on these recommendations of this high level committee, the President of India issues a warrant of appointment, appointing a person either as a Chief Information Commissioner and or as a Information Commissioner to the Central Information Commission. Section 13 of the RTI Act outlines the term of office and other conditions of service. If you look at the unamended Act that was originally adopted in the year 2005, the Chief Commissioner of CIC and the information commissioners were equated in rank to that of a chief election commissioner or election commissioners at the Central Election Commission in New Delhi. But in the year 2019, and precisely in July 2019, there was an amendment act that was passed by both houses of parliament, and that's how RTI Amendment Act brought in a very important change. It stipulated that the term of office, salary, perks and other conditions of service shall be as mentioned or shall be as prescribed by the central government. Following the passage of the RTI Amendment Act in July 2019, rules were framed thereunder by the Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension, and these were published in the month of October 2019. And according to these amended RTI rules, a Chief Information Commissioner or Information Commissioners at the Central Information Commission or State Information Commissions can hold office for a maximum tenure of 3 years. In other words, they have a term of office of 3 years. They can go up to the age of 65 years. And as far as reappointment is concerned, the heads, basically the Chief Information Commissioner, either at the center or in the state, have no chance of reappointment. However, the Information Commissioners can go for an additional term of one more tenure of 3 years, or they can be considered for appointment as a Chief Information Commissioner at the Central Information Commission or in the State Information Commission. Section 14 of the RTI Act, which provides rules for their removal. In fact, a Chief Information Commissioner or Information Commissioners can submit their resignation to the President of India in writing, or they can be removed following a rigorous process on grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity as provided in the Section 14 of the RTI Act. Students, we have seen the relevant provisions in the Right to Information Act pertaining to the composition of the Central Information Commission, State Information Commissions, salary, terms of office and other conditions of service. Now, I want to draw your attention to the functions and powers of the Central Information Commission, and in particular draw your attention to the Section 18, 19 and 20 of the Right to Information Act. I draw your attention to the following graphic. Section 18 of the RTI Act lays down the criteria which could attract appeal from an applicant. 1. An applicant who has received no response to his or her information request within the specified time limits, who thinks the fees charged are unreasonable, who thinks information given is incomplete or false or misleading, and any other matter relating to obtaining information under this law. CIC has the power to order inquiry if there are reasonable grounds. It also has the powers of a civil court. All records covered by the RTI Act, including those covered by exemptions, must be given to Central Information Commission during inquiry for examination. They have the power to secure compliance of its decision from the public authority, which includes providing access to information in a particular form, directing the public authority to appoint a public information officer, APIO where none exists, publishing information or categories of information, making necessary changes to the practices relating to management, maintenance and destruction of records, enhancing training provision for officials on RTI, seeking an annual report from the public authority on compliance with this law, require it to compensate for any loss or other detriment suffered by the applicant, impose penalties under this law, or reject the application. So these are the various courses of action open to the Central Information Commission under Section 18 of the RTI Act. The appellate provisions under Section 19 are distinct and independent of the powers and functions of the Central Information Commission to inquire based on a complaint received under Section 18. Under Section 18 of the Act, CIC is not empowered to pass a direction to the Central Information Officer for furnishing the information sought by the complainant. Now let us look at the appellate powers and imposition of penalties. I once again draw your attention to the following graphic. A person who is aggrieved by the decision of the first appellate authority against the order made by the Central Public Information Officer can make a second appeal before the Central Information Commission under Section 19 of the RTI Act within 19 days of such a decision or from the date on which the decision should have been made. The decision of the CIC under Section 19 is final and binding. In case the information which is the subject of the decision relates to a third party, the CIC shall give a reasonable opportunity of being heard to the concerned third party as well. The CIC under Section 20 is empowered to impose a penalty if the concerned public information officer has, without any reasonable cause, refused to receive an application for information or not furnish the information within the time specified in Section 7 or denied the request for information in a mala fide manner or knowingly given incorrect, incomplete or misleading information or destroyed information which was the subject of the request or obstructed in any manner furnishing the information. Students, before we conclude, I want to sum up RTI Act, which was originally promulgated in the year 2005, was a very powerful tool in the hands of the general public to seek information which concerns their rights. In fact, it was a kind of an enabler, and we have seen the amendments that were done to the Act in the year 2019 by the Government of India, and also the rules framed thereunder which were published in October 2019. Many civil society groups hold that the amendments in a way restrict the scope of the Central Information Commission, in a way empower the government more. Government could act in certain arbitrary manner to impede the independent function of the Central Information Commission or State Information Commission. Keeping the misgivings in view, we cannot rule out any legal challenge to some of these rules, and so only a future can tell what shape these legal challenge will take. So we have seen the qualifications, the terms and conditions and term of office and the manner of removal of information commissioners at the center or the Chief Information Commissioner, and also saw the shape of the State Information Commissions. There's a lot more that needs to be done in order to make transparency, accountability in governance a true reality to the general public. Thank you. See you in the next module.